Welcome to the Cabincast, your Getaway Primer.
The Cabincast is brought to you by Roughing It in Style. Roughing It in Style's family business was created to supply folks like you with unique furnishings that fit homes where memories are made. And like these memories, their handmade furniture and decor is made to last. They emphasize creative innovation in interior design, cabinet design, and custom furniture. Their designers are available to help you create spaces that are warm, inviting, and fit your unique style. There are 2 locations, one in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, in Harshaw, 10 miles south of Minocqua, and one out west in Fort Collins, Colorado. Find out more today at roughingItinstyle.com. Hello.
Hey, Erik.
How are you doing?
Good. Feels good to be back in the studio.
Yeah, back recording after quite a long time. It won't seem like a long time for all our new listeners since our launch here, but this is the first time we've recorded since maybe February.
We were back in winter hats, and it was cold back when we were recording before.
Yeah. It was definitely cold. So a lot has happened in the world, and this is what we like to call a cabin chat. So in our first episode, when Kristin and I were introducing ourselves, we talked to everyone about what a Getaway Primer was, and we are so grateful and thankful of all our new listeners, and the response has been fantastic from everyone. So thank you guys for tuning in on our little venture that we put together here.
Yeah, it's been really fun to hear the feedback from our friends and family and people that we knew would be cheering for us, but also from so many people that we didn't even know yet from around the country.
And the world.
And the world. And yeah, emails and DMs on our social. It has just been really fun to connect with a bunch of new people.
We have this as kind of a setup as an interview show on occasion when we find the right guests. And we also want to introduce what we like to call a cabin chat. As you guys heard in the first couple episodes, the cabin chat's kind of when we get into more of a variety show format at the beginning of our interviews, but some of our episodes will be just Kristin and I sharing some of the fun things we found, stories that we've read, interesting things we've been up to with you guys. And
it's our little talk show.
Yeah, like a little talk show. So we also want to introduce Q&As. We'll answer listener questions when we do that as well. And yeah, so that's kind of a cabin chat. So it's kind of an intermediary episode that we share lots of stuff.
Yep. And, as people ask us questions, if we don't know the answer, a lot of the people we've been interviewing along the way can kind of become our experts. We could always call them up, see if they can help us find an answer too. So we can use this time to reach out to some of our experts also.
Yeah. So if you as a listener have any questions for someone that we've had on, please shoot us an email, getaway@thecabincast.com, or send us a DM on Instagram or a Facebook message, any of the usual places. And we may very well give that expert a call and get a direct answer, or if we can answer it ourselves, we sure will try.
And I'd love to know too, if any of our listeners, because one of the things as we've been starting out, we're sharing a little bit of our background and where we are here in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, but we are a show for everyone. People that have cabins and getaways in Maine, in Tennessee, in Colorado, everywhere. So we're for everybody. People know an expert, somebody in their community that would be a great person for us to interview and have on the show. We'd love to hear that too.
And we want to know about your getaway areas. There's so many beautiful places in the world that people get away to. We want to hear about them. So if you guys have places you want to share or special little hideaways that you just want to give a general area because you love it so much you don't want to share.
Right? There are some places that people want to probably keep quiet about because
so if you want to do
they love the quiet parts of it.
Very vague descriptions. I have a place. It's in the Midwest. There may or may not be water nearby.
And we'll be like, then how are you on your boat today?
Yeah. Yeah. So we love that. So we want to make this kind of build a community of people that love what we do, and we can share it all together. I think that makes this kind of thing really fun.
Because I think I've loved being on Instagram and on socials, because what an amazing thing to be able to make friends with people from all over, because you have things in common and you may never have met otherwise. So it's just a great way to connect with people that have so many similar interests, whether it's being in mountains and the things you get to do there, or on a lake, in the woods. It's just a great way to find your kindred spirits.
Yeah. And it's kind of fun because we get to see whether it's the download numbers, but also the download locations in general sense. And I think I saw France on there, Canada, Mexico, England. It's just all over the world. We're getting some interesting things. I think there was Russia was one of the places that we've had listeners. If you're out there listening, we thank you for tuning in, and really glad. It's fun to see where that reach goes. Yeah.
And we appreciate all the downloads. It's really helpful when you're sharing it with your friends. Share it on your own Facebook page. I'm loving this podcast. You guys should listen to it, or on Instagram. Feel free to share any of our posts that we put on Instagram or Facebook. That's so great to help spread the word for us.
Absolutely. And Kristin, you wanted to share a letter that we received via email of one of our listeners, and kind of what the Cabincast meant to them.
Yeah, I love hearing these stories, and this is just one of the emails that we got. Erik and Kristin, I listened to your first podcast of the Cabincast and look forward to future episodes. I heard your inquiry regarding your listeners' cabin getaway experiences. I just wanted to share that recently, amidst these unprecedented isolating times, we had a memorable cabin experience. Mary Lou and Tony, our friends, invited us to a Sunday lakeside dinner at their precious cabin getaway home in Montana. It was the first time we had ventured out to be with friends since the quarantine phase. To be surrounded by such natural beauty and partake of the always outstanding hospitality of our friends, our stress and anxiety caused by uncertain times just melted away. The ambiance of cabin life gave us a remarkable respite and a sense of renewal. Even the drive to and from Whitefish was relaxing. I wish I had known about Erik's song Homeland, that was in our first episode, to play during the drive. Mary Lou served her delicious sliders, preceded by wonderful appetizers, including her perfect pimento cheese. Your listeners, who may be lucky enough to have lakeside cabins, should know how even a few hours of hospitality can provide a restorative, therapeutic experience for their guests, especially during unsettling times. Best of luck in your new endeavors. I know it will be a great success. Regards, Kim.
Well, thank you, Kim.
Yeah, we loved that message, Kim. And I think we might have to get that slider recipe and pimento cheese recipe. Share that, because I'm getting hungry all of a sudden.
Shoot her an email. If we can get that recipe, we'll share that with everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe try it out and put a post up on Instagram of what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm seeing that this is going to be a hard thing, because Erik and I and Autumn, our production assistant, we come straight from work to the podcast. And then if we share recipes, or if Erik talks about how he likes to cook over in his cast iron skillets over the fire, I'm going to have a real problem. You're going to start hearing my stomach growling.
Yeah. Yeah. So it isn't a bear. If you hear the growling, it is
it's
Kristin's stomach. Yeah, or my stomach. Absolutely.
Or we'll have to bring snacks.
Yeah. Yeah. People love when you chew on the microphone. That's actually people. Yeah. And we thank everyone for all the reviews. Our top one complaint is that there's not enough chewing on the podcast with all the reviews. But no, seriously, we do thank you all so much for the wonderful reviews. That's been a great response. One of the ones is from MTTP. What a great way to share all the wonderful things about the Northwoods of Wisconsin, style and fun. No matter where you live, Erik and Kristin present this so well. I now look forward to being transported to the Northwoods each week. Thank you for that. If you have time to leave us a review and put a little blurb in there, we'd love to hear that stuff. It keeps us excited and going.
We heard another one similar to that from Michelle on Instagram. She left us a message that said, with just 2 podcasts, I have pushed my wanting to come to the Northwoods to the top of my list. We love that people are getting so excited about what they hear on the Cabincast that they want to plan their getaway.
And one of the things that we talked about with Catherine Cooley, our the Smoky Bears agent and our wildfire expert, is the different ways that people keep track of their guests and kind of leave a mark on their cabin or their lodge. And Kristin, you had someone that did something really unique that they shared with us too.
Yeah, and it was fun because it's a follower. Her name's Carolyn, and she lives on a lake in Indiana in a cabin. And she started out by saying, "What a fun start to my Saturday, listening to the Cabincast, episode 3. Congrats on this interesting and fascinating project. I'm really enjoying it." And then later, after listening to it, she came back to share, because we had asked people, if you have any great ideas for how you welcome people to your cabins, let us know. And so she got back to us and said their guests sign a paddle when they come to visit. And I thought that was a really fun idea.
Yeah, that is a great idea.
You can hang it on the wall, or it'd be interesting to see how many paddles you'd end up with after generations.
Absolutely. That is a great idea. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks, Carolyn. I had some people stop in my shop, and they were sharing with me about how they came up from Texas to the Northwoods because he grew up coming up here, and they've had a place for 40 years in their family. And I think I love hearing all the stories of people that have had places in their family for generations. And the paddle made me think of that, because I was thinking, think how many, after 40 years of signatures, you would have to share of people that had come to visit. That'd be pretty cool. Or even to see your kid's name. Erik, your kids, as they're little, learning to write their name.
Yeah.
And then almost like a growth chart to see how their signature would change over the years. That would be really cute.
It would be. Yeah, just ingraining a sense of history into your cabin, even over and above the photographs that everyone takes.
Right.
And having something concrete and decorative to use is a really fun point.
Yeah.
And leads to a lot of reminiscing, especially when you have the same guest years later.
So if people have other ideas, we'd love to hear them.
When we do these cabin chats, we are going to have a bunch of different little things that we share, little segments that we'll share. And one of the ones that we want to start with this cabin chat is called Cabins in the News. I kind of have a Google alert set up for the word cabin, and you get a lot of interesting things. And one of the ones that just came through really, I think today, is pretty neat. So Iowa's oldest building has been around longer than Iowa has been a state. So this is an article by Bob James, and it was published today, September 22nd, 2020. So the oldest building in Iowa is also the oldest existing log cabin west of the Mississippi. It's almost 200 years old and was originally built by a Frenchman named Louis Eridu and built in 1827. Just a really cool looking cabin. We'll share the article as well as photos of it on our show notes and in our social. He was a French fur trader from Canada. The type of log home is known as a Dogtrot cabin. Kristin, you live in a log home. Is yours a Dogtrot cabin?
It is not.
It is not a Dogtrot.
You know what I think of, though? Like, to picture that cabin with a Dogtrot. I don't know if you've seen Old Yeller, Erik.
Yes, I have.
It was a favorite show of mine as a kid, and then my kids loved it too. And I think that cabin was a Dogtrot.
Was a Dogtrot cabin?
Yeah, there were the two cabins with like a little porch thing in between.
Yeah, like a breezeway in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, two cabins connected by a breezeway is what a Dogtrot cabin is. Those were a lot more popular in the South, more so than places in Iowa, but it is a unique spot. And then, the article goes into more of the history. It was purchased by A.A. Cooper Wagon Works for $150 and originally was sold for $70. Eridu sold the home originally for $70 and he received a horse, saddle, and tack in exchange for the house.
Could I do that for some furniture, Erik?
Yeah, sure. It has to be a really like one of those fancy horses.
Okay.
A breeding stock horse.
and silver on the saddle.
Yeah. It just depends on the saddle, horse, and tack.
Right. Gosh, can you imagine?
Yeah, so that was fine. Now it is at the Matthias Ham Historical Site in Dubuque. It's been moved a couple times. It is on display at a historical site, so that's really neat.
My daughter goes to the University of Iowa, so I may have to put a little stop there in Dubuque on my way down.
A road trip?
Yeah.
Awesome. We could maybe do a recording of you going in between the log houses and
Yeah.
slamming the door.
See if I
through
could jump from one to the other.
the Dogtrot. So yeah, fun story. So we'll keep looking for fun stories and share cabins in the news. Future cabin chats.
That is fun. I love hearing the history of it.
And the next thing is we did a music recommendation in our first episode, and we have another music recommendation to share with you guys. Now, this is a little more, it's a pretty chill song. It's by a band called Camp, and they're easy to look up, even though it's kind of more of a straightforward name. It's CAAMP. But they make really fantastic music. It was started by boyhood friends Evan Westfall and Taylor Muir. Camp came to life in Athens, Ohio. This is a song called By and By. It's the title track from their latest album, and we'd like you guys to hear it.
I think it's a song that I could see driving to, especially through the woods on a 2-lane drive. That would be great. Or sitting around the campfire.
Yeah, they have a really fantastic mix of music, and we want to share these songs with you. One of the things, the timing of this, and we've hemmed and hawed about, do we mention COVID and the things that are going on? And the music industry, especially live music, has been hit so hard. And it is so important to support those musicians that you still love, that you would go to. So if you have a way to discover new music, share it with your friends. When you do discover it, spread it around. If you fall in love with a new band and you absolutely plan to see them, it's a good time to buy merchandise from the band too. Go to their website and find, from what I've seen, some of my favorite bands and favorite music, in Camp is one of my bands that I love. They are putting out new, interesting merchandise all the time because it's a way to connect. They're also doing a lot of really great things on Instagram and Facebook, doing lives. They're sharing their music and story and still putting it out there. So it's easy when you don't check the tour dates and see anything coming up right away to still find ways to support them. And sharing is one of the best ways.
I agree. I think it's just a fun way for us to connect with our listeners and hope that they'll share things that they're loving with us too. And Erik, I know something new you have to share.
Yes.
Since that, you've switched cabins.
Yeah. So we had a home in Eagle River that we sold and bought another home in Eagle River that's a little bit closer to Roughing It in Style where we work. So we were on the far side of town, which put our drive at pushing an hour in the wintertime, especially. We drive through a lot of back roads. It gets a little slick in the winter. So we moved 25 minutes closer to the store on the close side of Eagle River. And we have a house, and we were on the water, right on the water before. And now we have kind of an interesting property. So it's that the main house is off the water, but we have a small cottage. It's about 16 by 16. That is like right on the water, like 10, 15 feet from the water. Needs to be fully revamped, but it has a nice little beach. It's a beautiful, clear lake. It's about 212 acre lake. And it has been a lot of fun this summer. My kids have loved swimming, loved that type of lake life. Our last place was on a channel, so there was really no swimming. It was kind of steep, and there wasn't really a great ability to swim since there were boats passing by all the time. So this new lake is a lot more accessible for my little ones. Feels really safe. We're really looking forward to kind of a full revamp and remodel of this really vintage cottage. Right now it's barn red, old roof. We're putting a steel roof on it and pretty much a full gut. We may vault the ceiling. So we'll share kind of a full project profile with everybody so everyone can follow along.
Yeah, that's going to be so fun. I'm so excited. You and Sam have such creative ideas, and it's going to be fun to see what happens.
Yeah, we're excited. We haven't figured out the time frame quite yet. We're right now in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. Their contractors are busy fixing people's places up, and it's we'll do a lot of it ourselves, but right now we're trying to hook up for the roofer and get him over there so that it survives long enough to remodel. Right. So, and you have a fun project as well, which is, we didn't plan this, but
no, when we did our first cabin chat, Erik and I didn't even predict that by this time we'd have our own little projects. Our family bought some hunting land, and on the hunting land is a tiny cabin, and then there's a bunk cabin. Really excited to get my hands on that project too. I posted a picture of the tiny cabin on our Instagram feed. Everybody can go and follow us on Instagram and see the little cabin. And then follow along in stories as Erik works on his down by the lake, and as I work on ours on the hunting land. Keep putting it in our stories and our feed so everybody can follow along on the progress and see what you think about how it turns out.
Yeah. And this is a perfect little project for me. Our last house was a full gut and remodel of a home that took about 6 months. This one's a lot simpler. Should be a lot more straightforward and a lot more fun.
I think you just want to get a tool belt on and...
Yeah, it's really, most of my remodels are so I can wear a tool belt.
Right? I'm going to have to get one.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, it is the most fun part is wearing the tool belt.
Having my own hammer. I think
Yeah.
I will like that. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Upcoming, so a little bit about our next episode. All of our recordings and our interviews were from winter, January, February of 2020. So we're going to share some more of our interviews that we previously recorded. Time frame wise, if you hear things that don't quite jive with the time now, that's why, but they're still really fantastic interviews. We had some awesome people on, so we can't wait to share more of those with you. And then we're just about to start recording for season 2 interviews that we'll be sharing later this fall, early winter, that those will post.
That'll be
Looking forward to
great.
that.
One of the things that's wonderful about the Cabincast, it really, whenever we record them, in our world, we call it evergreen. It's always great content, no matter when you listen to it, whatever time of year. That's one of the things we always want to keep in mind for you guys, is that you can always be entertained by what we share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're excited for the rest of season 1 and to start recording for season 2. So we're around for a while.
Absolutely. And again, we just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we can't wait to see what the future brings.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Cabincast. You can find details and more information in the show notes on our website at www.thecabincast.com. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you won't miss a single episode. Follow us on your favorite social media channels. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Cabincast. We'd also love to hear from you. We want to hear your getaway and cabin stories. For a chance to have your story featured on an upcoming episode, email us at getaway@thecabincast.com. Until next week, enjoy the journey.